Page. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Hey everyone, hey Nick, hey Sean. Excited for this today. I guess kind of as we're gonna get going, I guess before we get into it, I want to throw out a quick poll there. I'm curious to know who here is using Nexweave or Postaga or both or neither, kind of help us get some information going in. So I'm gonna, before we even jump in anything, I just want to throw out this poll. So if you're just joining in now, you should see a poll on your screen and see where you're coming from. All right, so, oh yeah, and so you'll see this poll if you're in, I just realizing this now, only if you're in the Zoom portion of this. So, oh, that's probably gonna be mostly Postaga then. All right, good to know. All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for sharing that. So, yeah, so kind of today what we're going to talk about is using Postaga and Nexweave to send personalized outreach emails that include personalized email. So what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit about how to use Nexweave, how to use Postaga, some ideas for use cases and how you can make it work for you. And then we'll want to hear from you and hear how you're using these platforms for your outreach, maybe give you some ideas. We'll do a Q&A and also have a giveaway as well. So, so excited for this. So I guess kind of to jump in a little bit about me. My name's Andy. I'm the co-founder at Postaga. Postaga is a platform that helps with cold outreach for digital PR, for link building outreach, as well as sales lead generation. So Postaga helps you find relevant websites, influencers, businesses, podcasters, finds their contact info, and then sends them personalized pitches. And we're excited with this Nexweave integration because it adds one more aspect to the sending personalized pitch puzzle, which we haven't had before, which is sending personalized media, including personalized images, GIFs, and screenshots, and things like that. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So, Inder, you want to share a little bit about yourself and Nexweave?
Absolutely. So Andy and I actually met over one of the mastermind sessions where both of us were there. And while Andy was sharing how he's gone about his business in terms of building relationships using personalized outreach, that's where we saw a natural connection that we could probably make the conversations a little more personal by adding media elements which convey emotions a lot better than just text. That's when we started having a discussion. He shared a lot of interesting ways in terms of how he's building various connections for digital PR, backlink generation, and a ton of other things. And that's where we thought that let's do a live session where we can talk about the expertise that Andy already has and the tech that we are bringing forth, which can blend in together and give you multipliers in terms of what you're anyways doing right now. So just to give you a quick introduction, Nexweave is a platform that allows you to upload media assets and then generate hyper-personalized variations of them, either in the form of images, GIFs, videos, or you can also embed them in landing pages. What this means is that let's say you send out a personalized outreach to someone, you can include an image of that person, you can include their logos, their names within the images, so that it creates some sort of a pattern interrupt, and they will notice that particular email amongst the plethora of emails that they get. And it's not just images, you can do that for GIFs. You can have journeys going from emails to landing pages. If you want to communicate a little more, you can have video explainers on the landing page, which are also personalized. So there are a bunch of things that can be done, which Andy and I will show you a few glimpses of. And we're happy to take any questions after that.
So next I kind of want to talk about like kind of like why what we're talking about when we talk about like personalization, like why to do hyper personalization. So like the main thing is a lot of people get cold emails and get pitches every single day. If you have a blog that has any decent amount of traffic, you are going to be getting cold pitches. And so there are, like part of what we do is we try to, like, we want to stand out from other pitches. We want to find the right people and have like a unique pitch that stands out, that'll get us the result that we're looking for, whether it's a link insertion or a relationship, affiliate relationship, or finding a new customer. And so personalization, like with images and GIFs, can really help you stand out. Also can get you a better win rate. Andrew and I were talking offline earlier about how some users are seeing like a 3 to 5x improved win rate. But like the baseline that we've been looking at, it seems like it can be at least like 2x or 2 or 3x the win rate that you've been getting before. So let's kind of share some examples of what we're talking about when we're talking about like personalized media. So like, for example, like having an email where in the body of the email, you have an image of or a GIF of something where there's text that's personalized for the recipient. So something like this, or have like my pitch might be like, hey, I would love to get a cup of coffee with you sometime. And it has them listed, like their name on the cup of coffee. Or this one that I've been tinkering a lot with Nexweave since we've been working on this integration. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I'm going to be building some case studies soon, comparing the hyper-personalization before and after and seeing what the win rates are there. But like you could also have people like your contacts screenshots of their websites or their logos. And if you're opening an email and you see your logo right away, you're going to be much more likely to read the rest of that email and respond, as opposed to someone who just sent an email just saying like, hey, would love to connect and talk about whatever it is. So.
Especially, and I think that's important when you're doing cold outreach also, people have to understand that that extra layer of personalization goes a long way. That if they've never done cold outreach, you'll have, if you're lucky, like let's say you're doing emails, maybe 10, 15% open rate. But what is the actual success that open rate is actually going to lead to getting some sort of response back? Not likely, right? So that's the purpose of personalizing, is to, in a very easy or automated effort, to get better results from that standard 15% open rate of your cold outreach emails. So that's something to keep in mind, because let's say your standard success rate out of that 15% may end up being maybe 5 or 3% success rate out of 100 people that you've reached out to. Well, now you can take that 3% success rate and maybe multiply that up to 10, 12, 15. So the idea is to multiply your efforts of success without having to do extra work, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I'll just add in one more element. One of the things that we've also seen is that when you have a relationship building exercise that's being developed, it won't be just one email that is going to push the needle through. So we've also seen that many a times, if you personalize an email with this kind of a graphic, the subsequent emails might not have personalization, but you would have already have established a much better brand recall, that they would respond to your emails. And we've seen this happen with a few experiments in the past as well. So your first email is personalized, the rest aren't, but they'll still remember you because you were the one who sent them a personalized image in that journey.
And we also have a question that came up too, Andy, if you want to bring that up.
Sure. Q&A from Matt asking about the difference between Nexweave and Hyper-Rise, which they're using for I guess personalization for now.
So in fact, both the platforms are pretty much similar right now. Ian's built a great platform. He was one of the first guys to jump into the media hyper-personalization space. They started with images, GIFs, we started with videos, and then eventually we come to a point where both the platforms are pretty much similar. I would urge you to try out both the platforms, and both of them have got trials, so that's something in your benefit. And if you like ours, we have a lifetime deal going on, which Andy will share the link towards the end of the session. So you can go ahead and try out our platform registry for 60 days. And if not, you can go ahead with Hyper-Rise as well. Both of them are great platforms to use.
Awesome. Yep. And another question that we have asking from Sean is, how is the personalized data populated? We'll give you a demo in a little bit and show you exactly how that works. Next, we kind of let's talk a little bit about Nexweave and Postaga. So people who are familiar with Nexweave can learn about Postaga and vice versa if they're not familiar with the other. Yeah.
So here's a quick glimpse of what Nexweave can do. As you can see, the images contain logos, names, website screenshots, the domain names of different prospects. And what you can do is that you can set up the whole campaigns in such a way that they can also be optimized for various devices. So many times your email is going to be opened either on a desktop or a mobile device. You can set your customer journey in such a way such that if someone opens the email on a mobile device, their journey will show them a vertical video. Whereas if it's on a desktop device, they can have the standard horizontal 9:16 video. So that's how you can go ahead and have multiple adaptations of your media for different devices and for different audiences. I think many of you have seen examples of how various platforms are now using these kind of personalization elements in the outreaches. The good thing is that instead of making it one by one, if you've got an audience which could be as large as 10,000, you can just go ahead and configure your templates to have these kind of thumbnails included in your emails so that you don't have to make it one by one. And the reason why we did this is because we spoke to a lot of sales professionals, a lot of outreach professionals, and they said that we can do this, but it's quite exhausting to create 10 to 20 of them every day. So if there's a way that we can do this at scale, or even one by one, but in a templatized format, it'll save us a lot of time.
It's funny that you mentioned that, like how much time it takes, because I once had someone reach out to me and it had like a personalized video in the email, and I was like mentioned my name and stuff, and I like asked them, like, you clearly spent some time creating this video, even though the video is only 30 seconds. You had to make this video just for me. Like, I guess you got it in that, like, you got a response from me, but like how like this must take like an insane amount of time. Like, is this even worth it for you? And he was like, yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm definitely spending a lot of time with this prep work, and we'll see if it pays off. And then never heard back about how that went. But yeah.
In fact, there's an interesting story around this. I spoke to the folks at Outplay and a few more sales tech companies, and they said that this kind of exercise can still be scaled for audiences where your ticket sizes are about $20,000. But if you are in the SaaS business and your ticket sizes are around $100 or $500, then it doesn't become as scalable, and you have to figure out an automated solution which can reach out to multiple customers the same way. So that sort of gave us an entry point that let's focus on businesses who have sub $1,000 ticket prices, so that they can go ahead and start using something like this.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
We have another Q&A from Salik Antaz, who asked, is image-based cold email safe to send, or will I be marked as spam?
Yeah, sorry.
Andy, you want to go for that one?
Yep, the images are safe to send. You won't be marked as spam.
As a matter of fact, go ahead, Indra. I was just going to address that further, but you can jump in.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the primary concerns that we've also heard from a lot of individuals who are trying to embrace something like this. So we ran an experiment with someone from the community who's running almost 1 million cold down emails in a month. And we ran an experiment with him where he warmed up the domains properly and then ran the campaigns. And surprisingly, the campaigns that he's run with personalized images have got him 90% plus open rates, which is only possible if the deliveries are not getting affected by the media that you're using. And there were some interesting things that he shared, that try to keep your images smaller, not more than 100 KB, and you won't see any issues in that. Warm up your accounts properly so that you're not sending cold outreaches without having 2 to 3 weeks of warming. And that's the kind of figures that he shared. And he was also surprised that even though I'm including media in the emails, I'm not getting any sort of drop-off rates over there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good. I mean, I would love like a 90% average open rate for my cold emails in general. So like with the personalized media, that's awesome.
So here's another example which is being used by some of our users who are on the e-commerce space, where they're connecting it to the APIs where you can have personalization information configured specifically for your business. So the good part about the platform is that you do not have to use standardized personalization parameters. You might be in any business, be it real estate, be it e-commerce, be it crypto, or whatever. You can configure the platform to take in personalization parameters in the form of text, images, buttons, the way that you want. So this is an example where someone is using this as part of their ad inventory on their website, and they're serving in personalized ads based on which individual has logged into the platform and what kind of products have they been checking out in the past. So the one on the left was checking out chairs without a price band, and the one on the right was checking out sneakers in a very tight price range. And hence, these are the kind of ads that can be served on platforms.
Very cool.
And then lastly, as your relationship building channels expand from email to LinkedIn to, in some countries, WhatsApp, Viber, etc., these messages can be configured to be personalized and sent across these multiple channels. They won't work for Facebook ads, Google ads, wherever native media is required, or any of the paid marketing channels. But if you've got funnel-based implementations, then we've tried it out. They'll work for all of these channels, as you can see over here.
So yeah, let's kind of now share like, so if you're not familiar with how we create these personalized images and media in Nexweave, let's talk about how that works.
Absolutely. So there's a simple 3-step process depending on what ecosystem you're in and what media you want to use. Yeah, if it's a GIF that you want to personalize, you upload the base GIF. Once the base GIF has been uploaded, you get a canvas where you can place the personalization element, which could be a text over a GIF or an image over a GIF. And then you can connect your data source or upload a CSV so that your GIF can be adapted into, let's say, one variation for each of your members in the audience. And even if your scale is extremely high, we've tested the platform where you can go ahead and create up to 5 million adaptations in less than 15 minutes. So it's pretty much battle tested. Once you've set up that particular template, the last step is where you try to figure out which platform you want to run it with. So if it's Postaga, you can pick up the Postaga integration process and then push all of these images into the email campaigns that you're running. So it's simple as that. The same steps follow for the video process as well. Only if you're connecting the two media elements together do you have to shift into the campaigns module, which sort of helps you connect one template to another, specifying that if a user clicks on this image, show him this particular video, and the two can be connected and placed in two different platforms. So the image goes in the email, the video goes on the landing page, and so on and so forth. We've got a YouTube channel which has several videos explaining the various use cases. We've created 100+ documents over the last 3 months, explaining how you can use Nexweave in a variety of use cases and a variety of channels. So go ahead, try them out. And if you're still getting stuck, we have a community of 800 odd members who are actively responding to questions and queries and issues that are coming on the platform. So even if our support channels are taking longer to respond, you'll find a response from the community as well.
Cool. So yeah, this is SDK.
Yeah, so this is the last one. This is for slightly advanced scenarios where some of our customers are coming back and saying that I want to show my prospect a video and give him the option to either select a date on the calendar or punch in details into a financial calculator so that I can get back to him with details of a financial product, etc., etc. So we've now opened up the platform where we're inviting developers to come and create these kind of custom elements, which will be made available to our customers through our SDK. So this is something where developers, if they're attending this particular session, they can reach out to me, share some ideas in terms of what might be cool for the entire community. And then we can start working together in terms of building these and making it available for the users.
Pretty cool. So real quick, I want to share kind of, if you're not familiar, kind of how Postaga works in tandem with all of this, and also if you've never checked out Postaga before, kind of how our like workflow works. So in Nexweave, you have like this ability to create these personalized templates with these merge variables here. So for example, like this is my attempt at pitching a podcast with some, personalizing an image where I, can have a merge variable for their name as well as the podcast name. Now, with Postaga, you basically the workflow for creating these outreach campaigns is first you choose a campaign type. So if you're doing link building outreach or podcast outreach or anything like, or sales outreach, we have this opportunity finder, which will conduct a search, try and find the most relevant search results, and for businesses, companies, blogs, influencers, podcasters, and all of that. And then from there, find the right contact people, right people in the right departments and roles, and then find their email addresses, validate those email addresses, and then build and send personalized pitch emails. So for this example here, I have some URLs, I just threw them in to give you an example. Then Postaga, like from these domains, it's gonna find the right contact people, it's gonna find Inder, it's gonna find me, and other people at these companies, then finding their email addresses, letting you know if you've sent previous campaigns to any of these people, and then choosing an email sequence. And so like I've got an email sequence that, for example, in my sequence, I have merge fields for regular Postaga merge fields for the contact's name, their company, and I can insert with the Nexweave integration, I can insert a media asset or a campaign that I've created in Nexweave here. So, for example, I can to each of these contacts, it'll automatically create the Nexweave campaign for each of them, and so it'll all automatically populate here. And so without having to do anything other than choose the email sequence and connect the template from Nexweave to my Postaga email, it'll automatically fill out. And so there are a lot of different things you can do, from having GIFs that mention the person's name, to also like screenshots of these people's websites, depending on whatever your pitch is. Or I could also throw in a logo, or here's the example of my podcast personalization one, where again, all of these emails to all these contacts are going to be immediately, these images are going to be created for these contacts without me having to do anything other than choosing the sequence in Postaga once I've connected that. So yeah, that is kind of the run through of how the Postaga platform works. And then I can send out the sequence to all these contacts and it'll happen automatically. So next up, let's talk about maybe some use cases. I guess we were talking about, so like sales outreach is, I don't know, probably one of the most common ones. I guess, Inder, what would you say like are the most common uses that you see that people use Nexweave for?
So cold outreach is definitely one of the top ones. One more interesting way to actually go ahead in terms of doing this is that I found one of our customers going ahead and identifying all the platforms who are using a particular CRM or a particular toolkit in their tech stack. And that's another element of personalization that marketers are using, where let's say if you want to pitch an integration or you want to pitch an alternative to someone, saying that, hey, I've got a platform which is better than HubSpot in these particular aspects. So you can send it to all the HubSpot owners and mentioning something like that. And these typically perform better because the other guy feels as if you've done a fair amount of research about. So that's another category which we've seen come up quite a lot. Other than that, I've seen a lot of them use these sequences as part of their SaaS onboarding journeys, where as soon as someone signs up for a platform, the journey can have different elements of personalization where they can use GIFs to add some sort of humor as well to just soften the whole onboarding process, etc., etc.
Yeah, I saw that, and like once I did, I'm like, should I use ActiveCampaign for our email marketing, and yeah, whenever anyone signs up for Postaga, I have like an intro series of emails, and now I'm thinking, oh well, if I could throw in some personalized media, maybe I'll get better interaction rates with that. So yeah, now I'm thinking how I'm going to end up using all of my Nexweave credits.
And that's kind of what we want to do. We've tried to make the platform as open-ended and robust as possible. So regardless of whatever niche that you're in, there's always a need to have better interactivity rates, right? And it doesn't matter if it's sales, it doesn't matter if it's outreach, it doesn't matter if it's a gamification platform, it doesn't matter if you own a customer service support center. You always want that extra layer of personalization to make customers happy. If you're worried about NPS scores, so literally the sky's the limit. You're just taking all the work that you do, adding a personalized layer to it, and that's always going to net you better results, like literally across the board, regardless of what niche that you happen to be working in or that you're trying to satisfy.
Also, I'll throw in one very interesting takeaway that we had from some experiments. When you're creating these kind of outreaches, try not to use fonts which look very polished, or use personalization which looks very polished. We've seen handwriting fonts perform a lot better than the more formal fonts. So try to make it appear as if you've taken the effort to make it not pixel perfect, but it's coming out of a human exercise. So that's a hack that you guys can use, which will get you a much better conversion as compared to very polished creatives.
So in other words, create a genuine graphical experience instead of a very corporate or enterprise structured appearance.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I would not have thought like, oh, like a handwriting font would like make a big difference, but I'm interesting.
Well, the idea is to not make it look like
right.
You took the time to construct it, because then it's like, okay, you're marketing me. You're taking the time to.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, like this template, for example, like that I took from Nexweave's template library. I see that, like I saw, like, all right, so like the text was skewed and it looks more like it was written on with a Sharpie, and so maybe for a second or however, or maybe they think, the recipient thinks, oh wow, this person took a picture of them writing on something with their own handwriting, and that takes a lot more effort. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it comes up more genuine, and it's a little bit raw, and it's kind of like when we do our streams, it's kind of like the same thing. And people say, do you have a format or do you have a structure? I was like, we really just have a generic topic, but if you structure it more than that, it becomes rigid. It doesn't become as approachable. So the same applies to your outreach, or the same applies to personalization as well.
Sure.
Although that's not the case when you're going in the B2C segment. When you're approaching marketers, they know some of the tools and how things can be automated. So try to put in a dash that makes it appear as if it was genuinely made just for you. In the B2C space, we've seen that brands prefer to be on brand on terms of the creatives. So they will use their brand fonts, etc., etc. So this input is specifically if your business is in the B2B space.
Gotcha. Yep. So I guess next up, if I guess the kind of the next question that probably people want answered is, so like if you we want to integrate Nexweave and Postaga and you have the accounts, how to actually do that. The next steps would be to do that both in Nexweave and Postaga. So like first you'll need to go into Nexweave, and by the way, we have a ton of, we have documentation on all of this now. And so we'll following up on this, we'll share out the help docs for how to get this integration set up. But basically first you'll go into Nexweave, go into the integrations, you'll add a key, and here's kind of the steps on how to do that. And then you'll copy that, and in your Postaga account, in your APIs page, you'll add Nexweave. And then once you get to like, once you add that, then you can add Nexweave campaigns that you've created into your emails in Postaga, then add them to an email sequence in Postaga. And yeah, that's kind of basically how it all works. So yeah, so then you'll, yeah, like I showed you before with Nexweave, you'll create the campaign, activate the campaign, and then in your Postaga email, you'll insert the experience, and the merge fields and variables are all there. So that those variables will automatically connect with your contact variables. So that'll automatically fill those out, and you won't have to do anything else. And yeah, that's kind of basically how that all works.
We'll share the link after the stream, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting some questions now.
Good question that's coming up. Can I add my AppSumo Nexweave account with Postaga, or do I have to be a subscribing member? Yes is the answer to both, but it doesn't have to be specifically a subscriber, but if you are a subscriber, we'd love to have you there too.
And can I use the same process for adding our profile pics to our sub and custom domain in Postaga? For adding profile pic to, so yeah, the answer to that is, so if you are, so like normally when you add your profile picture that's in your like profile page in Postaga, that's where you can add that signature. But with the Nexweave integration in particular, those are for that connects with like the body of outreach emails, and that gets personalized for each recipient. So I'll just share a quick screen about that. So like, for example, here's where it would be. So you go into your email section, you create a new email, and then you click the Nexweave button, and that'll insert the, it'll let you choose a Nexweave campaign to insert into yours. And you'll add the integration in the, connect that in the API section over here on this left sidebar. All right, so next up, I kind of want to open things up a bit. Like if you are using both Postaga and Nexweave, we definitely love to hear about how you're using them, how like and things that you've done with campaigns. Maybe give some other users some inspiration, and yeah, kind of would like to hear more about that and any other questions you might have.
We did have a question that came up, and someone asked, can you guys share any data that image personalization actually works? Can you share any data that image personalization actually works?
So I'll share an example from one of our earliest campaigns that we had done. And let me see if I can pull out an example of that.
Sure.
Or just in the interest of time, one of the examples that we started with was that we approached an entity which had an email audience of about 80,000 individuals. And we told them that let's do an A/B test where we'll send Nexweave personalized emails to 15% of them, and the remaining 85% can have the same emails that have been created by your marketing teams. And the results that we saw out of that exercise was that the emails that we sent were opened, were responded by 15 times higher as compared to the ones that were responded by the other segment. So even though the 85% of the 80,000 represented a fairly large chunk of individuals, we noticed that even though we sent it to just 15%, we got more responses from that smaller set as compared to the larger set. So that's what actually compelled us to go ahead and start experimenting it and making it more scalable. I'm talking about a time when this wasn't a SaaS product. It was one of the experiments out of my own consulting practice. And then we saw another experiment with a retail company, which gave similar results. In fact, their journey was going from email to a video landing page, and they saw the videos had a 70% plus completion rate. So these gave us inputs that personalized media in all forms, in the right channels, can get you a significant uplift. And that sort of pushed us to go ahead and productize the entire model, make it self-serve, and which is what brought Nexweave into existence.
And I guess beyond that, yeah, since we've added the Nexweave integration, I'm starting to build at scale some outreach campaigns, and going to be A/B testing them and see how the personalization versus not personalization compares to see what we get there. So be on the lookout for that. That may be, I mean, realistically, I want to get enough data on this, so it may be a month or two away. So, but we'll be working on that as well.
So even at our end, we're working on a white paper which will go live in the month of December, probably by mid-December, where we'll be sharing an experiment of how people have responded to about 5,000 emails that have been sent out with the right configurations. So we're currently working up the data set where we're going to be taking up certain email addresses right from scratch, warming them up, sending those emails, and sharing results of how the same set performed with and without the Nexweave personalization.
Another thing I wanted to point out, someone had asked if it's being recorded. Yes, if you just type in @Nexweave, spelled Nexweave, you'll find it. It literally doesn't matter. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, you'll find us all over the place. We're streaming to all of our social destinations at the same time, so you can always play this back at your leisure as well.
Great. Any smoking deals for signing up at Nexweave? So let's since people are asking, let's jump to that, right? So if you're interested in checking out Nexweave, there is currently, let me just pull this up. So Inder, you want to talk about Nexweave on AppSumo?
Yes, so for those of you who want to go ahead and grab one of our deals, we are currently live on AppSumo. You can go ahead and sign up for a free account in case you want to try out the platform first. And once you're convinced, you'll get 100 credits to use on the platform for free. But if you want a higher set of limits to be used every month, we've got a deal on AppSumo where for as low as $49 one-time payment, you'll be getting 1,000 credits for life. And there are 5 different plans available. So go ahead, try out the platform. There's also a community that you can go and see various examples that are being shared. There is help documentation where we've talked about various tips, tricks, integrations, and how it can be used with chat platforms, with email platforms, with marketing automation platforms. So go ahead, try it out. The deal is going to be live probably till around the end of the month. So you've got enough time, chance to go ahead and check out what you can do with the platform.
Cool. And the next, yep, since it's being asked, let's talk about our giveaway for today. Ender and I have put together this giveaway for attendees for today. We're giving away 3 months free of Postaga's Pro plan, as well as 2,500 Nexweave credits. How we're going to do that. So we were thinking a few different things. If anyone in the audience has used both Postaga and Nexweave together, we'd love to hear from you, have you jump in, and we'll give you the giveaway. But if you haven't also, we're going to do a giveaway for a randomized person in the audience as well.
So this is one of the things that we are trying to do. We've seen the community educate other users who are coming on the platform. So if you are a Postaga and a Nexweave user and you've been using both of them together, or you have an idea on how the two platforms can be used together, go ahead, create a short video explaining how you put them together. If you found results in that, go ahead and share that for the benefit of the community. And you stand to win a giveaway, as Andy and I just shared.
So that'll be coming in, I guess, our follow-up to this, which will be coming out right after we wrap up. So let's get to some Q&A.
Michelle also mentioned keeping my fingers crossed as a newbie. Well, Michelle, join into our Facebook group. We'll go into more in depth in there as well. I put the link inside the Zoom chat for you. And for everyone who's watching on the live stream, I'll go ahead and put that on the stream as well. If you're on your phones, take a little screenshot there. And then just go ahead and head to that after we're done here. It's facebook.com/groups/media personalization. You notice that we didn't say photo, we didn't say video, we said media personalization. That's what kind of helps us stand out from the competition, is the vast amounts of media that we can personalize. So there you
go. Looks like there are a couple of more questions here.
All right.
So one of them says that they are a bit confused on whether Nexweave works best for B2B or B2C. So to be honest, we've seen use cases in both of them. When we started the business, we thought B2C would be the more attractive segment, considering there's a lot of scale, there's a lot of automation involved over there. And the examples that I shared were the results that we saw in the B2C segment. But when we went live with the community, we saw a lot of individuals that were using personalization in their cold outreach in their customer journey emails. And hence, there are use cases in both the industries, depending on how you wish to use personalization or what information do you think is going to connect with your audiences. So I think there are enough examples being shared in the community where people are using it for automation, for B2B, for B2C, for e-commerce. So go ahead, join the community. You'll have quite a few array of ideas to actually explore from.
I'll put a personal testament on there. Using this as a personal tool, also from friends to friend or friend to family members, as like a birthday tool, that's not a bad way to go also. Or a holiday tool, that's not a bad way to go. So it doesn't necessarily have to be B2B or B2C, but if you want to do B2C or friends and family, there you go.
What, actually, can you tell me more about that? What do you mean that you're using it for birthdays?
So like you could put it as a reminder, hey, inside your CRM, it's this person's birthday on October 12th. Cool. I know I have to send it. Now, what I'd like to see eventually, and I know some people would like it, is like, a way to capture the data of a particular user, because we're thinking of rolling out a light CRM. I'd like to have, that birthday capture field in there and say, as an automation, I want it to automatically go out for that birthday. It creates a little bit more of a reason for someone to reach out to you, especially if you send them a, personalized.
I see.
birthday outreach. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about that now. Like, especially for like sales heavy organizations, you have the CRMs. Like, yeah, I'm using ActiveCampaign, which has its own built-in CRM, and I could have a birthday field, and if I wanted to run an automation so that if it's your birthday, it'll then send you an email, and I could throw in some personalization to it.
I guess you could, but I would rather come off like a little bit more genuine and not attach it to sales. But yes, obviously you could, right? That's a tactic that you use to grow. Have your people that you're doing outreach with to have a little bit more affinity for you.
Mhm.
Yes, that makes total sense. But some people don't want to do work 100% of the time. Now, I would still like to have friends and family outside of work and still use the tools that I purchase. That would be a perfect way to set as a reminder. You're going on your way to give them something cool and interesting, and it wasn't related to work. So yeah, it's just another use case essentially that you could use it for other reasons outside of the workspace. Yeah.
Gotcha.
In
So
fact, we've had some examples where people used it during Friendship Day. And that was an interesting campaign where someone set up the campaign in such a way that I am sending a personalized outreach to the recipient. So Andy would receive it in a format where it will say, "Hey, Andy, thank you for being my friend," etc., etc. And then he had an option to share it with his friends over WhatsApp, where the personalization would not carry a "Hey, Andy" message, but the second message contained, "Here is a message from Andy." And that's how the string went on in a format where every recipient could go ahead and then send a personalized Happy Friendships Day message as a viral campaign. So there are quite a few interesting concepts over there as well that can be explored. Plus, I've seen some of the B2C brands use this to share birthday messages to their customers, just to have that kind of connection. So I wouldn't classify it completely as a personal use, but yeah, those are things that you can go ahead and try as well.
Michelle says, so many potential use cases. I'm excited to explore this further. The use cases that you could think of, I guarantee you haven't thought of all of them because you have no idea of what else is coming up in the future. And I know Andrew doesn't like to talk about what I do, but Andrew, whatever you feel comfortable with about talking about additional media formats that the rest of the community hasn't really heard about or that we've dabbled or talked about briefly, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to let them know something that you're thinking of executing in the short term in like the next 6 months.
So there is a use case which is Bruce's favorite, which I typically hold off because that's not something that we intended to do earlier. But given the fact that we have opened up our SDK, it allows others to connect with the Nexweave platform to add some more elements as well. To give you an example, let's say you want to show a pop-up within the video, which can be used for lead capture. That's something which would soon be possible through some of the integrations that we're planning. Or if you want the personalized videos that you're sending out to also contain personalized audio, that's also something that we're discussing with some of our integration partners, because the SDK allows you to augment the Nexweave experience by plugging in more applications over there. So we've reserved this for the next quarter. Within the next quarter, like I said, we are inviting developers to come on board and develop along with us. So you will see these examples coming through where the other than personalization, the interactivity components are going to be swelling up quite a lot.
So then you don't have to hire someone like me to, do some sort of like impersonation of Arnold Schwarzenegger when you're doing outreach to someone like Michelle. Michelle notices the passion and the innovation that we're discussing, but when you said audio personalization, Andrew, someone like Michelle could do, let me do a famous personality and send out like a birthday wish and say to like, let's say her friend John, right? It could be using Arnold's voice. It would be like, "Hello, John, how you doing? Michelle would like to wish you happy birthday." Like you could do that in coming up in the future, like those types of personalizations, like people have like no concept about because they've never seen. Oh wow, that would be so cool, that would be amazing. Anyways, that's something that, yeah, you don't have to hire me, you could just do it inside Nexweave. So there you go.
So then what are you supposed to do, Bruce, with your career as an impressionist?
Right? I just sit here and look pretty, I guess.
Oh. Well, I guess it's good that you have a heads up now.
Salik Anton asks, what automation platforms does Nexweave work well with?
So we've gone ahead and integrated with most of them. You can use it with Zapier, Integromat, Pabbly, Integrately. So we've been very focused on getting as many integrations out. And if there's something that we've missed out on, let us know. We typically take about a month or so to add it to the list. The list that you can see right now has 100+ of them. And we're not stopping over there. We've just made another list of another 40 integrations, which go out in the next quarter. So we also have a roadmap where you can go ahead and suggest that this is what we want to use so that it gets voted on by other users, and then we can pick up those in terms of implementation.
I'll put it out there. There's also another team that came up called Connexit. So that's something to look out to for automation platforms as well. And then just be on the lookout at our integrations page, which I'll put up here, guys, only because we're constantly building more and more integrations, not just with other platforms, but with other automation platforms too. Let me go ahead and share that up here. And I'll put that inside this.
In fact, from the integration documents that we published last time around, we are also picking up platforms where we can natively integrate, and that requires cooperation from the partners as well. So Andy's been very generous in terms of trying out the platform, suggesting ideas and use cases on what would be the best way to do a native integration. So Andy happens to be amongst the first 3 integrations that are natively done amongst the 2 players. So if there is, so I think that speaks volumes in terms of the validation that we are getting as a platform from someone like Andy, and given that he has been in this business for quite a long time, and the fact that he values image personalization is something which also keeps pushing us to do more integrations and move forward.
Well, we were excited. Like once we kind of like connected, I saw what you did. I was like, oh, we've been like looking in, like we've been hearing people telling us about this. Like our users have been saying, can I add images or personalized media to my campaigns? And our answer was like, oh, that's on our list. I don't know when we'll get to it though. But yeah, once we connected and you're like, I have an API, we're like, okay, great, let's do this. And yeah, instead of taking forever to basically build Nexweave, we have this integration now. And so, and it works amazingly well. And you have so many things that we never even like thought of being something that we would do. Like for example, having like the screenshot inserts into emails. Like I thought that was super clever. And like, or like the logo, like being able to insert your contact's company logo just automatically wasn't anything that like we were thinking about initially when we were thinking, can we add like personalized image content and stuff like that? Or yeah, we weren't even thinking about like personalized gifts, but yeah, now I'm sending out personalized gifts to contacts and like stopping like people, like when you open that and you're like, oh wow, there's a GIF with my name on it. How did they do this? Now I'm gonna read the rest of this email. And so yeah, really just I'm super excited that Nexweave exists and that your API was easy enough to integrate with.
Thank you so much, Andy. And I also noticed another thing. If you saw the examples that Andy demonstrated, the screens were not facing you directly. They were all tilted. So that's another thing that we picked up from some of the conversations, that if you want to make the images look a lot more real, you can have yourself pointing out to a screen and the screen can be slightly tilted. And you can use the warping functionality inside Nexweave to adjust the image so that it fits the screen exactly. So it will appear as if Andy actually had that website open on his desktop while he was taking this picture. Yeah,
that was I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit of a challenge the first time I saw it when I was, creating that template. So like, yeah, this kind of like the classic one of, hey, here's me like with a computer with your screen opened. But yeah, once I was like, oh, like I was thinking like, all right, well, how do I get it warped and like Nexweave has that. It's really easy to do, and I just make it fit in the screen, and it'll automatically like fit in those dimensions and look warped and all like with the right perspective. It was just, yeah, once I had that, it was super easy. And yeah, if you're getting an email and you see this screenshot of your homepage, that's gonna stand out.
I've noticed that too. We're being in the personalization space, we're used to seeing things like our names, right? But one thing that stood out during the automation setup of a campaign that I didn't even think of, and that just totally blew my mind, was when you would put in the the domain of the person that you're sending an email to, and then having a website screenshot capture of that same domain. That just made total sense, right? That just shows that as part of the automation sequence, you're just going an extra step further to personalize that outreach. I didn't even think of that. I can't take credit for that. That one was amazing. That one blew me away. So Indra, I give you props on that one because I never even thought of that. That was just like, holy crap, that's cool. So yeah. We do have one question coming up here. Have you guys tested anything about image relevancy to the content or subject of the email, and if it's made a difference in the resulting stats? I'll handle the second part. In terms of the subject email, I've noticed that you can associate certain icons to show people that there's like interactive content or there's different type of content. So when I've done subjects in emails, I've done things like include like a video reel or a camcorder GIF on the first, let's say the first word, right? And I will say video, but I'll have like little GIFs around video, and then I start the subject line. That has helped me get better interactive results and open results too, because people want to be like, what is this, a video and an email? Because they don't normally see a GIF or a GIF, and they don't normally see video in terms of little icons in the subject line. So that just kind of helps make your emails stand out even before they get to the content. So there you go. Indra, anything about testing image relevancy to the content?
So my recommendation over here would be that try out icons, try out options where you can include the word video in brackets to highlight that this could be a video email or something like that. If you're using the thumbnail in the email body, that has worked for some of the clients, but I still recommend everyone to do an A/B test, try out 3 to 4 formats to see what works in your business, because we've seen very different results from someone who's doing a real estate campaign to someone who's doing a medical rep campaign to someone who's doing a B2C campaign. So I wouldn't say that there is any playbook over here for the subject lines that have worked for one particular industry as of now, because we don't have enough data. But the classic A/B test technique always works. Go ahead, test it out, and then scale it up for the rest of your audiences.
Perfect. So anonymous attendee, I hope that answers your question. There you go. All right. Guys, we're coming up with the 1 hour mark. Andy, how you doing on time?
I'm doing good. Yeah, if there are any more questions or anything like that, we can get to them. Otherwise, maybe now would be a good time to wrap it up then. So following up, if you came in through the Zoom webinar, we'll be following up with an email with everything that we talked about, some information about getting set up with Nexweave and AppSumo, as well as our giveaway, obviously, and some information on how to get the Nexweave and Postaga integration set up. And in the coming weeks, we're going to put together some examples and templates of campaigns that we're actually running and showing you how we kind of the results that we're getting. This has kind of been a thing that we've been like from the beginning of Postaga. All of like the templates that we have are based on templates that we found have worked. Like we recently added a new template library, and most of those templates are like a lot of the templates I'd say are ones that I personally have found success with. And so I added them, and now everyone has access to them. And so We'll also be sharing some like templates and give you some ideas and inspiration for campaigns to be running with personalized media.
And on that, I'll add, just for those of you who don't know, we do our community-based live streams normally every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So we set that as kind of like the standard to reach as many time zones as possible. So if you're interested about more use cases, more integrations, Michelle, we look forward to seeing you there too. Hope you, I know you like the Zoom stream, so I hope you'll come in and see our weekly live streams that we do, education walkthroughs. And it's like a very open discussion, very roundtable-esque. We do that specifically to try to encourage you guys to jump in and talk with us and let us know how you think and you feel about the platform and certain integrations you might be looking forward to in the future, or ways that we can increase the effectiveness of the Postaga integration. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. I've put that inside the chat. It's running down below on our ticker tape down there on our live stream. So we look forward to seeing a lot of you guys there at our Facebook group. Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific is our live streams again. There you go. Inder, you want to say anything as we wrap up?
So I enjoyed the session. I'm actually waiting for Andy to do that experiment and share his learnings because I've been following how he's helping others. Yeah, looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun. So like I have I'm going to use this for a lot of campaigns that I have in mind, but yeah, in particular, I want to, I have some ideas. Yeah.
Perfect. That being said, Andy, I'm going to put a formal invite to you to come over to our community-based live streams also in the future, whether it be this Thursday or in the next week or the week after. Hey, come join us, please. We know that this isn't our normally scheduled time, so our community's not used to it, but I know the community would love to pick your brain totally about Postaga.
All right, awesome. Sounds great.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
All right, and thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you later.
Have a good one, guys.
Okay, everyone, guys.
Bye.
Take care.